5, 4, 3.
It's already live.
Oh, hey.
It's already
Welcome.
live. Hi.
Welcome to another Master Toons podcast with me, your host Jack Hayward. We have our regulars George, David,
Hello.
Sylvia,
Hello.
and
Hi.
this weekend we have Ross joining us, and we
Hey.
hope to see him more in the future.
Hey, I'm on YouTube also. Just look up
You wanna
Ross
do-
Stern.
Hey, shameful advertising is my job.
I'm working on a short film called Random Access Memory. Check it out when it comes out, you know.
That's an album by Daft Punk.
It's a very good album.
There's Memories and there's Memory. I couldn't find a better title than Random
Good
Access
luck.
Memory. I really tried to avoid it, but whatever.
So, this month we're kickstarting our animated musical movies with Yellow Submarine, which is a 1966 British animated movie featuring the characters. Yeah, I don't know how I said character. Featuring a characterized version of the Beatles. The plot is about this mystical place called
Pepperland.
which gets invaded by these creatures called the Blue Meanies, and the single survivor, what's he called, like the captain or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Captain.
Young Fred, I think.
Young Fred, who's actually kind of old, and he goes off in the Yellow Submarine to recruit the Beatles, and they have to travel through the different oceans to save Pepperland.
Yeah, there's the Sea of Time, there's a Sea of Monsters, there's the Sea of Green, and there's also the foothills of the headlands. A lot of stuff.
Sea of
Nice
Science.
Wikipedia reading there.
Sea of Science. Yeah, that was all in my head. I'm also basing it off the album soundtrack.
And the name, Yellow Submarine, is from the song by the Beatles. You ready, everyone?
No.
1, 2,
No.
3, 4.
We all live in a yellow submarine.
Yellow
Yellow submarine.
Yellow
Yellow
submarine.
submarine.
We
all
Yellow submarine.
Yellow submarine. Submarine.
Yellow submarine. Say more. I can show you this poster I have of this movie. I have this awesome poster for the movie. It's a 3D hologram, but here it is. It's holographic in 3D.
Oh, dude, that's
Cool.
wicked.
That's
Oh,
sweet.
great.
Let me
I love
get,
a Beatles
let me get a
poster.
light on so you can see it better.
I got it on the original VHS.
I have that
Oh.
at home somewhere.
Oh,
It's all-
oh,
I have it on
so
Blu-ray.
much when I was sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, George, get with the times. Come on,
I
Blu-ray.
got it on
Never!
Blu-ray.
All
I
right,
only
look.
had Daily Motion.
so
Oh,
the movie. We'll go around 5 words or less.
Oh, no.
George, buddy, you can go first.
Oh,
Words to go up Benyati Croshaw. Give me a second. Fuck. Ah,
What a phrase. What the crucified fuck Christ was that?
Yeah, really. Thank you.
David?
A trippy and imaginative time.
Great. Ross?
I don't have anything planned. Let me think of some.
Just say,
fun-
you can be really boring. You can just say good.
Fun, trippy, awesome, epic Beatles.
Sylvia?
Back when Brits were really high. I bet that's more than 5, but there we go.
Two thumbs up.
Sylvia, what do you mean back when?
I
Look at me, for Christ's sake. You know?
You know how easy it is to get marijuana in Bristol?
I said, like,
The answer's
really-
easy. It's literally a phone call away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same in Manchester. I can walk into a pub and someone will offer me a toke.
Okay.
So you can smell it on the streets. You're walking along.
I mean, it
Like, what
was the
fuck?
60s. Jeez.
Oh, I'll say my quote. Mine was gonna be a quote from the movie. It's like, "Are you?
Oh, what were you guys?
Don't look bluish."
Are you bluish? You don't look bluish.
That was terrible.
That was,
That was fucking awful.
Alright, I want to state straight away, the Blue Meanies are the greatest villains ever created.
No, they are so damn annoying.
They are amazing!
Like Max.
I mean, beyond the head one, the others are so annoying.
Yeah.
Are we
Or
ready
the-
to invade, Max?
Or like the
Yes.
or Max,
your
you know, like
blueness.
know your blueness. That guy.
I was gonna. No, your blueness.
know your blueness.
No! Yeah. The snapping.
No.
I can't remember the
No.
No, your blueness.
Was he
Why?
supposed to be like some kind of Hispanic or something? Like what?
No, they're
know.
meant to
Weird
be
accent.
Nazis, sort of destroying culture, that kind of thing. That's meant to be the link there. Hence all the weird boots and
So,
outrageous
yeah,
accents.
So who
Yeah.
enjoyed this movie?
I
I
like
fucking-
it a lot.
I love
It's
this
one of my
movie.
favorite.
No.
Yeah! Woo!
No.
Because I knew
No.
this movie would get a really interesting reaction between like people that might be
No.
kind of into the sort of stuff and people that definitely aren't into that sort of stuff.
No. No.
Yeah,
So you didn't
I
like
love
it, Sylvia. Why didn't you like it?
Well, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just, I mean, I'm into Adventure Time. That's trippy stuff. But this, I have no words.
I
That
am
was.
This,
I am
if you think
so
about
with you. Like
I don't know what this is.
This is something like along the lines of some of the weirdest fucking movies I have ever seen in my fucking life.
well, if you think about it, this movie
not-
influenced like a lot of the cartoons we watch. You know.
Yes. Taking that point, Powerpuff Girls, him
Yeah.
is actually based on the King Blue Meanie.
Yeah, totally. That's
With the voice. With the voice.
There was an episode. You know that episode, the
Yeah,
Beatles.
Meet the Beatles.
Like, every line is a Beatles reference.
Yeah.
In what story?
That episode of Powerpuff Girls was like the
Meet the
Beatles.
Beatles.
Every line was.
Oh
a
yeah, I
Beatles
love that
reference.
episode.
You can
Oh, I
briefly
haven't
see
seen
the
that.
Yellow Submarine
You have not
guy,
seen that?
like
You have to.
Paul, John, George, and Ringo. I'll be like, oh god, during like some scene. I forget what it was.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
not
cool.
the first one, 'cause there's also the one with the mime in it as well. That does a reference where he's sucking all the colour and life out of the world, and then they have to sing to make it bright and colourful again.
Which makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. And you're on the strongest acid in the planet, or the
Yeah.
drugs Zack Snyder on when he made Sucker Punch, or whatever the fuck Kevin Smith was smoking when he made Tusk, or whatever the hell Brad Bird and the director of Batteries Not Included were on when they wrote that movie.
That's a great movie!
Or
I will have no bad words said against it.
when
Speaking of
did-
sucking things.
Batteries
didn't
Not
that,
Included is hands
I'm
down
the
the weirdest
walrus.
fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
didn't that suck monster from the Sea of Monsters? Wasn't that terrifying?
What
That
the
was-
fuck was up with that?
The Sea of
Seriously,
Monsters, I think, is some of the most creative animation design I've ever seen.
But no,
See,
this.
I kind of have my own theory on what the Sea of Monsters is meant to be, because as you watch through the film, I mean, I'm not sure about you guys, I have a background in this, so it might influence
Yeah,
where
go
I
ahead,
look
go
at it.
ahead.
But everything kind of had a strong visual metaphor. Everything made sense on the visual plane thematically. So the Sea of Monsters represents things like self-doubt, crippling depression, and whatnot. How you can get sucked into that. It's your personal monsters. That's what that represents.
So was Sea of Time like?
Yeah, I was-
And
I was actually, it's funny you bring up the structure because that was actually something I was gonna say. Like, the animation in this is
Horrible.
it's not.
incredible.
My theory
It's-
on
I hated
The
the
best-
hands.
the
hands
the
freaked
best
me out.
the best way to describe it, it's like the Problem Solvers animation if it actually had structure.
Oh.
I think it has like a very neat European, weird kind of Frenchish
Yeah,
vibe
but the
going.
hands. What the hell was with the hands?
It was very. It felt like a
I don't
weird
know.
weird kid's book or something.
So the animation isn't like particularly smooth. So what they do is they just make it as visually as interesting as they can.
Yeah.
Because bear in
Yeah,
mind,
but
it's
the
not-
interest,
it's
but the
1956.
interest.
thing with it is that it's weird because I'm not sure if they made like the choppiness of like the character movement and stuff like intentionally, or if that's due to budget cuts or something. Like,
Budget.
what the hell?
Like it's 1966, and the only company really like making high quality animation films is Disney. You know,
Yeah, like how
and this is still all
who's
like
going to
has
compete with Disney?
no computers.
They had what is 250,000 euros equate to in American money?
Are you? Oh, the budget of this movie is £250,000.
Yeah,
Not
so
euros.
Which is nothing.
pounds? I'm sorry.
And a little bit of an extra history on this. So the Beatles had a contract to do, I believe it was
United
Okay,
Artists.
so that's
3 movies, David?
that, wait,
It was
that's 300.
4 appearances in movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
And like, so they thought Yellow Submarine would be good because they wouldn't actually have to be in it. They didn't even voice act the characters.
They're only
The-
appearances at the end, and they're like, "Hey, we're the Beatles."
Yeah,
Bye.
so they thought that would fulfill the contract, but Apple weren't happy, so then they had
So-
to do another movie afterwards. I think it was Help after that.
So
No,
wait,
United
Yellow
Artists.
Submarine was their very last movie. It was, I
wait,
believe,
the,
Hard
It
Day's
wasn't that last
Night.
movie.
Then it was Help.
the
Then it was Magical Mystery Tour, and then it was Yellow Submarine, and that's it.
the budget was 368,875 American dollars.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't very much.
Oh, Ross, there was
Yeah.
Let It Be after Yellow Submarine.
Oh
Yeah, I was
right,
gonna say
yeah,
there
but
was
I always
2
forget about
afterwards.
that one because that never
Yeah.
got a very good release, so it's not that popular.
Yeah.
No.
What is?
Let It Be movie. It's basically like a documentary without any narration about the Beatles making their new album,
Oh, interesting.
preparing for the.
I
group
think I
tour.
saw that one last year in music class.
Yeah,
Have you guys seen Magical Mystery Tour?
I'm sure
No.
that came after this because this was 1966 and Magical Mystery Tour was 67, I believe.
What? No. Yeah, you're right. Well, that's weird. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Magical Mystery Tour came after Yellow Submarine. My bad. But
Yeah, because the song Yellow Submarine was on Revolver, I think.
I think Yellow Submarine started production in '66, but to what I'm looking at, it got released in '68.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I don't know why it said 66 on the initial thing. Yeah, 68.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah. And,
It was. I'm sure it wasn't the last movie though. I'm sure there was like 1 or 2 movies afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I know for sure the first couple were Hard Day's Night, Help, and then I think Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah, that's right.
All this confusing stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway,
then
I was gonna
then
say,
they
is,
did one more.
if you
Okay.
thought this was trippy, Magical Mystery Tour will fuck your heads up because it was directed by the Beatles themselves, and they
Oh,
don't
God.
know how to make a movie.
Uh-uh.
They
That
didn't.
sounds amazing. I need to watch this now.
There was no script. There was no original planning. They didn't even do like a clapping board to like sync the sounds and visuals. So like they weren't even like they really had to like work. They like really pissed off the editor when it came to syncing the audio with the visuals.
Well, they were determined to get out of the movie contract with United Artists, I believe. So they did a lot of things to intentionally sabotage it.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
usually what I do when I introduce our movie of the week is I say who the director and the cast is. But for Yellow Submarine, I didn't see the point because they haven't done anything really. I mean, the guy who directed Yellow Submarine also, I believe, oversaw the cartoon series The Beatles for ABC, which was
Which is awful.
a terrible cartoon series based on the Beatles.
Yeah, like when you look at they got like the characters all wrong. Yellow Submarine got the Beatles much better as their personalities much closer.
Down to a T. I think if you didn't know
But
that
still
the
not
Beatles
that
weren't in
realistic.
it themselves, like the voices are really convincing.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Some of
It
them.
was
You know
only
what's
fairly
interesting?
recently I found out it wasn't them.
There's a really neat thing about how they got the voice of George. They were having like a lot of trouble. It was pretty easy for them to get impersonators for Paul, John, and Ringo, but it was like a pain in the ass for them to find a good George voice because he had such a interesting, different, non-distinct voice. So like they were like the casting director was like stressing out. He was at a bar, and then like from across the bar, he heard someone talking, and he was like, "Holy shit, he sounds just like George." So anyway, they hired him. They hired him, and then like halfway through production, it turns out he was like a criminal or something, and he got arrested.
He was discovered to be a deserter from the British Army.
Oh,
Yes.
that's it.
Germany.
Okay.
And was
Because
arrested.
yeah, he was taken away, and the guy who was doing the voice of Ringo, who I believe is also the head Blue Meanie,
Yeah.
Yes,
he
actually.
took over
Yes.
for like the second half. That's why he sounds wrong.
Paul Angelis, who is actually the brother of Michael Angelis, who, in another Beatles link, went on after Ringo Starr to do narration for Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Don't you think
When
the
did
voice
George
acting
Carlin
is
start
really
doing Thomas?
The voice
I have
acting
to go
is,
back on Thomas now.
yeah, the voice acting is really, really good in this.
Oh yeah.
it's really
I found them to be really boring.
boring.
I don't know.
It wasn't
It's
necessarily that. It's that you can kind of tell that they're inexperienced with kind of like acting and stuff. But even then, I don't feel like they're like terrible at it. I feel like they were pretty good, which is pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
like
And I
they
feel
were
like,
having a real conversation.
but
It
I
was
feel
just
like
really
they were a
mild.
lot better during the musical numbers
So,
as opposed to like more of the dialogue scenes.
Sylvia, I also kind of have to. I mean, you say they sound boring, but that's very much a cultural thing.
no, they sound like monotone. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
they
but
just
th-
too
this is
monotone.
this is what I mean. Speaking as someone from the north of England, there's very much an attitude, particularly in the older generation that, grew up in the 60s. There's this sense of pragmatism. There's no surprise. There's very lethargic. That's actually in keeping with the tone of
They
people
still do.
in
I
that
mean,
time.
check out some interviews
okay.
with like Oasis or the Stone Roses.
Yeah.
They always sort of talk like this, and
Okay.
it's that kind of how the
It's very flat. It's very, and I've got a particularly animated voice for someone from the north. I'm kind of the
Very
exception
animated.
rather than the
You've got the
rule.
nose. You've got the nose of a northerner.
Oh, that's
What?
true. This isn't even a nose. This is a full-blown schnoz.
Townsend nose.
Schnozberries taste like schnozberries. Yeah, I heard originally in the original script the Beatles talked way too much like New York Jews.
Oh my god, I would have loved to see that.
Like their sense of
That would have been amazing.
New Yorker, like Woody Allen or something.
I can't even imagine that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Sylvia, didn't you like Jeremy Hillary Boob?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I like him. He's cool.
What?
Nowhere Man.
Nowhere Man.
Oh no.
It's also probably like the best musical scene. Like it's very simplistic, but it's great.
For my money, my favourite scene is, I know it's right at the beginning, but it's the Eleanor Rigby scene.
Oh
The
yeah.
animation and the layering and the
Yeah.
way that they've had to build that, particularly at the time without computers. It's just a visually stunning piece.
Yeah, it's really freaking impressive, especially for the time period.
And it totally
And the
captures the
budget
spirit of
and
Eleanor Rigby in
With the
general.
budget they barely had, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, like they totally got it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Also, here's another brief interesting fact for you. This will mean nothing to most of you. Jack, you might appreciate this though. George Harrison in the film keeps repeating the line, "It's all in the mind."
Yeah.
And that's actually a reference to British comedy show at the time, The Goon Show.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I never knew what that
Did
is.
you know? Did you know George Harrison produced Monty Python's first movie, Life of Brian?
Yes,
Yep.
he paid for it with his film
He
production
did?
company.
Yeah.
And Ross,
no.
Was that Dark
I
Horse?
didn't know that.
Life of Brian was their second movie.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
you're making of, was it Holy Grail
Holy
or,
Grail.
oh yeah, he produced that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh. That's
Oh,
awesome.
interesting.
George Harrison loved Monty Python. He had
Well, who doesn't love
Yeah,
that?
that is-
It was both George Harrison and David Frost from the Frost Nixon interviews that put the money up.
Huh. That's cool.
yeah.
So, So moving on a little bit, like, what do you think of the soundtrack in this? Because like, it's
Yes.
obviously
Oh, the
Are we
soundtrack.
talking about like the Beatles songs or like the background stuff?
let's split it up. So the actual like the Beatles songs form like the musical numbers. So
Yes.
Yeah.
that's from the character like lips.
My
start to
favorite
sing.
one is definitely Hey Bulldog, even though that's not visually that interesting. But it's definitely my favorite song in the
It's a
movie.
wicked song. I'd love to cut it.
Just quick interesting fact about how Hey Bulldog. In the original US theatrical release, that was cut out.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I hate it.
Wait, why?
I don't know.
It was to
People
do
are
with the
stupid.
runtime or something. I'm not sure the exact reasoning, but yeah, that never made it to the original US theatrical cut. It was only shown in the EU theatrical cut.
America's weird with British movies, like the ending to Rocky
wait,
Horror.
here, I see it here. It was cut from the American version by the movie's producer Al Brodax, as he and the group felt the film was too long, so they cut it to save time.
Well,
Long. The
Americans-
movie's only like the movie's only an hour and a half long. I'm not
Yeah.
joking. Look, see it for yourself.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
one of those things.
I wanna
where
have
they changed the
right
name-
there.
American minds to get fucked.
They changed the name of the vegetable. I think in England it's a marrow, and then for the American audience they call it a watermelon. They re-recorded the line and everything for no reason. Like,
Fuck.
who gives a fuck if
Screw
you
you,
don't know what it's
America,
called?
for
You learn.
tampering with the British culture.
Well, I don't know what a marrow is, so I guess that helps.
It's like an aubergine or
Isn't it a bird? Isn't it a bird? A moral?
No.
no.
Oh, that's the wrong thing.
No, that's a sparrow.
No, I'm thinking of
Whatever.
It's it's a kind of a squash, isn't it, David?
a
Yeah,
marrow.
a
It's a
marrow's
vegetable. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's a type of squash. It's in the same family. I think it's actually kind of just another type of generic name for them, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like
What
that.
is,
I don't know.
What is you guys' favorite song?
Oh, it's tough. I think I like them all.
What is it?
I like them all.
In the one I've been listening to the most is definitely Yellow Submarine, but my favorite song, hands down, is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That is
That's
also
so
my
fucking
favorite.
wicked.
That is
That-
also easily my favorite scene in the whole movie.
You should listen to the
But-
album Sgt. Pepper. It's great.
I heard it after the movie. I was listening to Eleanor Rigby. That's my favorite so far.
That's also great. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I kind of already like know all the songs like just from listening to the Beatles, but I remember as a kid and even now, I keep being blown away by It's All Too Much. It's like kind of the last
Oh
song.
God, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, George Harrison, favorite Beatle. He did like the larger half of the new songs for Yellow Submarine.
no, he didn't. George.
No, he did.
No, oh, did you say George Martin?
No, well, I mean like other than George Martin's instrumentals, he did like the,
yeah, George Harrison wrote the song for the movie. Oh, well, they didn't know like where to put it on like the different albums, so they've just put it on the Yellow Submarine one. They kind of like
yeah, it was like Magical Mystery Tour,
That's
Sgt.
his-
Pepper Rejects.
it's just like a massive
Ah.
thick song, and the animation for it is so like
Yeah.
it's like peace and love psychedelic, like so.
Oh God. Only
Yeah.
a Northern song. That's a trippy song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole point of that song is it sounds like shit, but you'll listen to it. It's a Northern song.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on like the instrumental stuff, and like I said,
Oh,
so
God.
George Martin,
Producer of
not
the
not
producer
the
of almost
not the
every
author who
song.
wrote Game of Thrones, but the producer, as Ross said, of the Beatles, who basically kind of created the band almost. Like
Not real. No.
Well,
I wouldn't say that, but he kind of gave the Beatles their overall sound.
Yeah.
Like he kind of helped towards
his
that.
wing because no one really wanted to work with them because they wanted to do their own songs, and then he kind of like gave them the platform they needed to like turn into these like musicians in their own right, and but,
Yeah.
that's debatable. But, yeah.
But he
so
did, like,
he
all
was the producer, and
And he did all the great orchestrations for like Eleanor
Yeah.
Rigby and Within You, Without You.
yeah,
Just all the good arranges. He's the great arranger.
and he did like all the instrumental stuff for the soundtrack. So one of my favorites that he did is I something. I think it's just called Pepperland or something. The music that plays when at the start. It's like,
Yeah, at the start.
Yeah, the introduction story. That's what it
Yeah.
says here.
Ding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
ding, ding. I really like. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
we're
it's really
very
well
happy.
done. Can you
Um,
believe George Martin is still alive?
Yeah,
he's
89.
so
I just
old.
looked.
Insane.
89? Seriously?
So
Yeah.
two of the Beatles are dead, and George, Paul McCartney looks like a fucking zombie, but George Martin's still going.
Yeah, and by the way, Ringo actually looks better than he did as a teen.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was. He looked like a dork. I don't even know how to describe how he used to look.
But that's
Like
the worst
beard
bit,
and
though.
glasses really make him look better.
Two of the Beatles are dead, but we got left with the shitty Beatles.
Exactly.
Well, it depends on how you look.
Damn you, God! Or world, or whoever the fuck you believe in. I don't know.
Well, to me, like Paul McCartney and John Lennon are the same as the dynamic in Pink Floyd with.
Daltrey and bugger. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what sparked the man to change, because he really looked ugly as a young man.
So like one's
I think he just felt like changing up his look. I don't know.
Looking at Ringo as a young person is really horrifying.
You're an asshole.
yeah, I think you guys.
You mean in the
brought up
movie
Ringo
or in, like,
voice.
in real life?
You
Real
guys
life.
brought up that Ringo narrated Thomas the Tank Engine, the series.
Oh.
Did you guys bring that up?
He has a very
I did,
kid-friendly
yeah.
voice.
Yeah. Thomas was in the kitchen, rolling up a fat one.
Funnily enough, though, that voice is pretty much any children's programming in the UK. You watch it, if it's got narration, it's always that style of narration.
Yeah, it's northern. It's really Bob the Builder.
So like Ringo started that style.
Yes.
That's
Oh my God,
really,
Ringo
that's
Starr's
really
Wait. Ringo Starr's older than Paul McCartney, but look how they look. That's just sad.
Yeah. Paul
That's
McCartney's
sad.
always like the most handsome
Dave.
Beatle.
It's so weird. And his voice isn't as worn as Paul's either, because he hasn't used it as much.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's
He's still not a good singer, but you know, it sounds better like if you consider the change. You know.
Whenever I think of like Ringo's involvement in the Beatles, I always like think of the Family Guy sketch where like Ringo comes into the kitchen. Look, guys, I wrote a song. That's really good, Ringo. We'll put it straight up on the fridge. Yay! I always think.
See,
He's a very talented man, though.
Yeah, I always think of the Bill Hicks bit.
Very underrated.
The Beatles were so high, they even let Ringo sing a couple of tunes.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's funny.
In case you didn't know, George Ringo sang Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, that's something.
That's his voice.
Get Ringo off the roof. Get
also
Ringo off
did,
the roof. He's got a song, something about an orange tambourine.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did "Don't Pass Me By,"
He sang it with my
"Octopus's
friend.
Garden," and those are the two songs he wrote.
So basically, the songs he didn't write were better than the songs that he wrote. And
Yeah.
maybe
Pretty much.
some, yeah.
I kind of like "Octopus's Garden." I don't know what you guys.
I can take it or leave it. It depends how I'm feeling.
"Photograph" is a pretty nice song, but I think George wrote most of that.
Yeah.
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 Do you know what? I would like. It's a little bit off topic, but I really wish The Who had an animated movie kind of like this.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I don't know if you guys know The Who, but like, they were so like their personalities were like so off the wall, especially Keith Moon. I would have loved to see Keith Moon in animated form. He actually, he's the drummer from The Who actually inspired the image of Animal from the Muppets.
Oh,
Like,
wait.
Oh!
His whole shit going like crazy drummer thing is directly from Keith Moon.
He's
Wait,
also
that's
the
awesome.
guy responsible for the rockstar trope of throwing a TV out the window.
That
Oh!
is true.
Interesting.
Dude,
Yeah.
just type in like Keith Moon stories and you'll laugh your fucking arse off. Like, I think one of the most infamous ones is like he drove a Rolls Royce into
Into a
a swimming pool.
swimming pool. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my god! Wow.
And there's a really famous on TV. They were doing My Generation, and the story goes that he already had discussed with a stagehand that they were going to put a small cherry bomb in the drum kit so it explodes at the end. But he didn't tell anyone else. He put twice as much in. So at the end of the song, it's a massive explosion. Pete Townshend's hair, like the guitarist, hair's up like that. And like Keith Moon runs off stage, and it turns out he had like a massive bit of symbol embedded in him. Totally off topic. Sorry, I love the Who, favorite band.
Oh no, that just brings up a great point. You get American rock stars go off the rails and it's like, oh, I was so strung out on heroin, I pushed everyone away from me. And you get British rock stars going off the rails and they do crazy fucking shit.
Yeah, seriously.
It's just proves once again, American rock stars are a bunch of faggots.
Well, it's true. You guys got all the good stuff.
Actually, talking about it, do you think we should watch The Wall by Pink Floyd for this month?
I haven't seen it.
I don't know about Pink Floyd though. I
got an idea. I got an idea for a music movie.
Yeah.
May I suggest some? This one's different, but the Daft Punk movie Interstellar 5555.
That would be
on
good.
the list.
I've never seen that.
It's you know Daft Punk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know their album Discovery?
It's the one with One More Time on it.
Yeah, that's the one with One More Time on it.
Yeah.
Basically, what they did was every song got a music video, like an anime music video,
Yeah.
and those anime music videos all have a connected story. And it's like there's a movie that has all the songs in the album's order.
Yeah.
And
It's
story.
It's also all the music videos directed by incredibly famous anime director Leiji Matsumoto, who directed stuff like Space Captain Harlock, the Galaxy Express, things like that. It's very, very huge name in the industry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Yellow Submarine.
Alright, so what we'll do is we'll just cover like things we didn't like about the movie very quickly.
The hands. I can't stand the hands.
And
I'm
then we'll do final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up the show for next week.
My only real complaints with the movie is that it's fucking it's bizarre enough to the point where I can't hate it, but I can't see myself like saying like it's hard to explain. Like it goes beyond like my critical spectrum thing. Like this is something like a very few amount of movies that actually pass this. But even then, like I wouldn't say there was much to complain about in terms of it did its job right. If there was something to complain about, that fucking Nowhere Man's voice really fucking annoyed me for the most part.
His voice is awesome.
That is a great voice. Yeah.
In a sense, I hated the purple. What the hell? The blue munchkin, whatever. I forgot the name.
Oh, Max.
The meanie. I don't like the head meanie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's like the king blue meaning.
Yeah, he was intimidating, but he was just so annoying.
I love the bit where he goes right up close to his teeth, like.
Yeah, you see his teeth.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it when they're in the Sea of Holes and he keeps.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool scene.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
oh god, there's a great line that John makes. There's a great line that John makes in that scene. He's like, "Oh, this reminds me of that time in Blackburn, Lancashire."
yeah. Really good reference to Day in Life.
Yeah, they make a lot of really subtle references. No, not subtle, very obvious references to their songs.
Actually,
especially at the ends where they're on screen.
A good
like,
point is the dialogue between the characters. Like, there's not much dialogue, but it's all really funny. Like, there goes the School of Wales. They're a bit old to be Wales. Oh, maybe it's like a university. University of Wales. You know, there's the University of Wales in the UK. If you didn't.
Yeah. I got that.
That was a joke.
Yeah, I get it now. Because Wales is a place. I get it.
Yeah. If you look on a map of the UK, Wales is a place where there's just a giant black thing that says "Here be dragons."
Yeah.
Oi.
Okay.
Whales are shit.
I feel left out because I can't really think of anything I dislike about this movie because it's fucking awesome.
Well, I'd say my only one complaint is sometimes the plot kind of loses drive, so you kind of just
Yeah, the climax wasn't very climactic.
Well, as they're progressing through the sea, I really like the Sea of Monsters because there's tension of them trying to get through the sea, and the Sea of Holes is kind of worldly, this is this endless thing of holes. But then there's other bits where the movie kind of stops so they can animate to song, and the animation is really great, but there's not a lot of plot drive. You're just watching something happen without any extra kind of plot or development. Nowhere Man had the song Nowhere Man, it had its awesome visuals and everything, and then it was cut into Jeremy, his character, and you can see him getting lonely and lonely as the song's affecting him. I wanted more of that.
Yeah, but the only two things, too trippy, and I really hated those hands. It was just irking me so much for some reason.
Do you mean the design of the hands?
The hands, yes, everyone's hands. They were just so fat. What were the fingers?
Sylvia, do yourself a favour then. Never watch anything like either The Engine or...
It's easier to animate, I think.
Really?
Yeah, again, might be budget constraints, might be intentional. I don't know. It's a fucking mystery.
My belief is that the concept of good art is if you want to be an artist, here it is. Just suck at drawing and call it your style. You know.
Yeah.
Props to the designer.
Yeah, but it was a good movie. It's just I don't know. The hands really. It might be my OCD, but I don't know. It's just.
It's his style, the weird claw hands. I like them. They have charm.
They make them look like walruses. That's what it made me think of it.
Don't mention walruses to me, please. Please don't mention walruses.
But George, I am the walrus.
Oh, no!
The city.
If I have two complaints, one of them's a story complaint and the other's a technical complaint.
Sure.
Story-wise, again, like Jack touched upon, it did feel like the movie stopped at points just to cram some songs in. I mean, particularly Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yeah.
Comes out of nowhere. Don't get me wrong, it is a beautiful, gorgeously animated sequence.
Yeah.
And on its own, on its own, I would watch that over and over again. But in the middle of the movie, it didn't click. It was just, what song can we put in for the sake of getting a song in? What's popular?
I think Only a Northern Song is probably the worst musical scene in the movie. Because one, it's not a good song because the point is it's not supposed to be a good song. And two, it just wasn't very visually interesting. It was just stuff spinning and being trippy just for the sake of being trippy. There wasn't really anything.
Well, actually, I really liked that song, but
it flowed into the story the least. Like it felt the most.
I agree. The where that song originated from was they had a contract with Apple for a certain amount of songs on, I think it was the Yellow Submarine album. So Paul McCartney just very quickly wrote this song, and it's because the record label is called Northern Song.
But I think it only applied to Paul and John. Only Paul and John applied to Northern songs. So whenever Paul wrote a song by himself, both Paul and John would be credited to it. Or if John wrote a song by himself, Paul and John would be credited to it.
Yeah.
So,
because they were both attached to Northern songs.
A Northern song, and the lyrics are doesn't matter what chord I play. What?
Yeah, George is just making fun of that.
I still like that song though. But if you don't like it, that's cool.
It's an interesting George freakout. You know, he has his weird songs.
Yeah.
My technical complaint is, I'm not sure if you guys found this, but some of the dialogue mixing sounded really muddy at some point.
Yeah,
that's kind of had to strain to pick up what they were saying.
Yeah.
The first time I watched the movie, I had no clue what they're saying because, one, the accents are too out there for me.
Wow, you think those accents are out there?
No, It's like getting used to
huge.
like had to wait like 10 minutes to really adjust if you have a stupid American mind like me.
Yeah,
You have
really.
to take the first 10 minutes to really get used to their weird accents.
Yeah, for the first 10 minutes, I really understand what the hell they were saying.
Yeah, like
You really
I
have to
kind of
pay
had that
attention.
problem as well. I couldn't really pay attention to what they were saying. I did grow used to it, but it wasn't that big of a problem because I was too busy having my mind fucked several degrees upwards and downwards and across the space-time continuum and ended up in the fifth dimension, like what happened to Space McConaughey and Interstellar, and just ugh.
Hey, no spoilers.
Hey. In this movie, gravity never equaled love. Love was just all.
Hey!
That's all you need.
Like,
It wasn't gravity equals love. It was not that. If it was
It
that, I
was.
would be. No.
I will say with the dialogue, as you guys were saying, I do agree, especially like when some of the Blue Meanies were talking, and it was very like, are you bluish? Like they sound like it was very recorded like far away for some reason.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is 1966 on a very small budget and stuff, so I do give it a little bit more leeway. I mean, on the television, I saw a very early episode.
What?
Jack?
You totally cut out, dude.
Hello? Yeah, he did. Jack
Man.
died.
You know,
We lost our host.
Oh, wait.
no.
There you are. Welcome back.
oh fucking internet. I just saying like, so I do kind of forgive it because it's 1966 and it was like low budget
true.
production and everything. I watched an episode of Storage Hunters, like a really early episode, and I couldn't believe how bad the sound mixing was in it. It was fucking red. Like the narrator was really loud and everyone else was really quiet. You could even see the fucking boom mic as clearly as this for a good 5 seconds. This. And it's like, are you fucking joking? It's American. You got loads of fucking money. So, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of 1966 low budget movie cost £275,000.
Yeah.
That
And it
same
wasn't-
money would pay for one episode of Storage
It's
Hunter.
not a high
The
quality.
worst job in the world.
But, Jack, if you think about it, though, that's that amount of money. I mean, is that after conversion from old money to new money, or is that after conversion?
I think that's a really good point. Even if you did convert it though, I think at the most it'd be like a couple of million. It wouldn't be that much. I think it would only be like 1 to 2 million. You might want to check it out. But I mean, still, like, you know, if someone said I'm going to make an animated movie on like 5 million and it's going to be hand drawn, you know, what are you going to expect?
I heard that John Lennon and Paul McCartney really wanted Disney to make this movie, but soon they realized there was no way.
Disney?
All right.
They wanted Disney to do this movie, but then
Disney.
they eventually realized that was impossible.
Oh, hell
To
no.
give you an idea,
I'm
I've
not sure
just
this would be like if Disney made though. Like you wouldn't have that weird hand thing.
True, yeah.
Go
I've
ahead,
just
David.
Yes,
yeah,
that.
Very well flowing.
Yeah, David.
I've just done the calculation. £250,000 in old money, when converted into current money, would be £3,215,000.
Yeah,
I
I called it.
Wow.
Yeah. For Americans who might not understand, it was, I can't remember, was it the late 70s or early 80s? But Britain changed from fuck shit bizarre money to metric money.
Stupid,
so that-
like,
Yeah,
shillings and penny farthings and stuff.
yeah. So that's where that's what I mean when I say old money.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tuppence.
I forgot to mention one scene I liked. I already linked it there, where they were doing When I'm 64. I really
yeah.
like that scene.
That's a
Start
nice
the song
song.
as well.
That is a fucking
No, the
stupid
scene was
song.
good too.
The,
Especially that when the ship was going through those words. Although what
Okay.
that 64 years and 3 million. What I don't know.
this many seconds and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 1 minute is
no,
long.
there were like 60 seconds
is
in a
it
minute,
Leon?
which isn't that long of a time at all. Let us demonstrate.
Actually, I've got one thing to say about that sequence. Now, I'm not sure. When did Sesame Street start? It was the 70s. But I'm pretty sure that When I'm 64-bit was the entire inspiration for Sesame Street.
Maybe.
Yes. Wait.
Yeah, that does
so,
sound right.
That's so true. It was
Yeah.
just like
Maybe even
Sesame Street.
Schoolhouse Rock too. Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, very Schoolhouse Rock.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, Schoolhouse Rock. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much else to talk about. So unless
Did
there's
you
any.
know it was John Lennon's idea to have Ringo being chased around by a yellow submarine in the beginning? Like he called up the writers.
and then wasn't
He
it
called
Ringo
up the
who
writers and he was like, "You need to include this scene."
Wait, wasn't Ringo chased around by those other things in the middle of the movie? That
Yeah.
dolphin,
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah.
Ringo really gets
I
pissed.
kind of felt
Just
bad for
bullying
him.
Ringo Starr.
I felt bad for him.
That's what you get for making that god-awful tie-in song for the Power Rangers special. No, not Powerpuff Girls special.
Girls. I wish I was a Powerpuff Girl.
God! Fucking
Yeah, man, Ringo was the
damn it!
perfect person to sing that song.
That's
Well,
so.
to be fair,
That song angers me by
I'll-
no
Actually,
end.
I'll be honest. That this probably speaks more to my mindset, but the only bit in the movie that ever weirds me out, and it still does every time I watch it, is right at that beginning sequence. And it's just when the policeman turns to the camera with that smile.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It just freaks me out every time.
And then you think the cat's not going to move, and then it does move.
And it's just when he turns from profile, just a... And it lingers for like 2 minutes solid as the submarine goes past in the background. It's like, what the hell?
Oh.
Alright, I think we should wrap this up now. I am really
Ew.
pleased that.
Okay.
I just looked at that video from the Powerpuff Girls. I'm sad. Oh.
I hate you.
So
I
I'm really,
fucking
I'm
I'm really
fucking
pleased that I can share this
hate
movie
you.
to. I can share
I
this
am
movie
coming
with-
down to New York, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you and leave you in an old rusty dumpster for reminding me of that song.
Could me, you, and Sylvia just all get together so you can beat the shit out of us together? You know? Because we know you wanted to do that to me earlier. And that's just
That's true.
hanging out and watching Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas first.
Just beat
Oh
them
my
up,
Oh yeah.
beat them up, beat them up. Hate them.
Oh
Anyway,
god.
let's wrap this up.
George, show them your fueled rage.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So wrapping it up. So who would like to go first with their final thoughts?
Any volunteers? Yay? Nay?
Now,
Yeah. Ross, you
Um,
go.
if you haven't seen Yellow Submarine, you should see Yellow Submarine.
Oh my god. I'm still watching this Powerpuff Girls thing. It just makes Ringo look so bad. Oh.
Yo, right.
It's fucking worse than I remember. Oh, God. Show
was like
me
the
now.
worst- that must have been the worst decision of that man's life.
I tell you what. If you want to see like
What are your final
Ringo,
thoughts, guys?
if you want to see Ringo make a fool of himself, type in Ringo fan mail. There's a really funny video of him like saying, "I will not be accepting any more fan mail from this point. Stop sending me there." It's really.
Yeah, what?
To be fair, to give him his due, that was like, what, back in 2005? Up until that point, he did make an effort to read and reply to every single bit of fan mail he was ever sent. But it gets to a point where you're just like, I've got shit to do, guys. I've got shit to do.
He's got nothing. Really.
Really?
But look, he makes some shit albums every now and then.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Ringo
final
Starr.
thoughts. Sorry. Final thoughts. See, were you finished, Ross?
I said, yeah, what did I say? I said, if you haven't seen Yellow Submarine, see Yellow Submarine. I guess if you're a fan of modern cartoons, like just any weird cartoon, watch that because that's like the inspiration for all of them. Like every Adult Swim cartoon owes something to Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, well put. Sylvia, do you want to go next?
It was an okay movie. Not something I'd rewatch again in the next 100 years, but something, I guess, if you want drugs without taking them, I guess it's a good movie.
Alright,
Quote
George?
Jester A. Bomb, it's like drugs without drugs. Anyway, my final thoughts. This is up there with movies like Sucker Punch, Tusk, Lucy, Batteries Not Included, Robert Zemeckis' Christmas Carol as movies I don't get at all. Will probably never watch again. I might actually end up watching this sometime. I don't know when, but it will probably happen. But in terms of my final judgment of it, I literally have nothing.
Well, you wouldn't say it's good or bad. Would you recommend it? George doesn't see a race ahead.
If you think acid and weed is too expensive and you really want to get high, marathon this movie with all the other movies I listed. It should keep your brain. You should lose a good amount of your brain cells by that point.
Would you say
so you
it's
get pretty much
worth checking out once?
Yes, if you're a fan of animation, definitely check it out. But
David?
other than
Or
that,
if you're a Beatles
just
fan,
if you're a fan of the Beatles, it's a must-watch.
must watch if you like Beatles a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a must-watch. Well, it's not really a must-watch
And
because
if
you've
you're not a
probably
Beatles
already
fan,
seen
it
it if you're a
might
fan
be-
of this band.
If you're
Magical
not
Mystery
a Beatles
Tour,
fan,
the
you might
movie
get to like it.
People, this is good.
Alright, okay. David's final thoughts?
Yeah.
Ignore these guys have no clue what they're talking about. The movie is not nearly as tricky
Oh!
as its reputation suggests.
Oh, come on, man!
No, let me finish. Here's the thing. You look at every other piece of animation from that time period, even right up till the early 80s, 90s from Britain, and it's just smack bang in there. It's the same sort of thing. It's a cultural difference, I'll say. So maybe, maybe to Americans it's more trippy than it is to me. But when it comes down to it, if you're a fan of animation, if you're a fan of gorgeous visuals, if you're a fan of good music, you owe it to yourself to see this movie. If you just want to be a film historian, you owe it to yourself to see this movie. Everyone I'd recommend this movie to, really, even if just purely in an academic sense.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's, what more do you want? It's just a piece of British culture. It encapsulates what it was like to be British at that time, especially the Eleanor Rigby opening sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about you, Jack?
Yeah.
Actually, the movie actually reminds me of what was it, The Phantom Tollbooth that Chuck Jones directed a few years before or after. I mean, this is much more trippy, but it kind of reminded me of that.
Based on the book.
Yeah, it's based on the book.
Yeah.
They did a movie on the Phantom Tollbooth?
Yeah, Chuck Jones. Chuck
Yeah.
Jones.
Oh, right. Was that on Netflix? I gotta get around to seeing that.
Fuck, I read that book ages ago. Like, what is this weird thing where they eat words and stuff?
I saw it on YouTube. Then I read the book. Then it kind of got a little F for me, but I still love the movie.
Holy shit!
Let me see if I can find it.
Adaptation of it. I've got to check that out at some point.
Yeah, let me see where it is.
But
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's why I saw
I'll find it myself later. But I going by the book. I don't know what the film's like, but that is kind of the same vibe as Yellow Submarine. You're absolutely right. So with Yellow Submarine, I agree with David. Like, it is historically important, and you can see how it's influenced like so many like cartoons afterwards. Even though it's just this like small British movie based on this really big band. The visuals are really great. I personally like the characters, even though I don't think the Beatles themselves have much character development. Their verbal interplay is going to give you a chuckle. The Blue Meanies are amazing. I think they're so funny. And again, I agree with David. It's not as trippy. It is pretty trippy. Like, it's quite a strange movie, but nearly all of it's not really a freaky movie. I think if you said to me freaky animation straight away, exactly as we talked about yesterday, George, Elephants on Parade and Pinocchio. What the fuck? That is some fucked up shit. Yellow
Yeah,
Submarine.
you're right.
It's not nothing in it's really malicious. Like I mean,
No.
the yellow. The
I
movie
didn't
is-
say this movie was trippy too much, did I?
Huh?
I didn't oversay this movie's trippy, did
Oh
I?
no, I was going kind of like George and Sylvie, really.
Yeah.
So you're more talking about George and Still, because I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being accused of this, and I didn't
No,
say.
it's fine if you think it's really trippy, but I mean, if you watch it, there's some really out there visuals. Like,
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think it's the weirdest thing I've seen.
I'd say rather than trippy, I'd describe the film as imaginative, but you've got to remember it's imagination filtered through the lens of the 60s, not modernity like we're used to.
And most of the visuals are coherent. You're not just like looking at some swirling like colors and stuff. Like everything, you know what it's on about. So like there's the bit where like the monster, and one of the monsters is like a boxer one, and the other one's like a I don't know, what was it, punching bag or something?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. So I mean, you know what that is, but it's strange because they're monsters, like versions of them. But it's still coherent. You're not trying to work out what's going on really. And my only like kind of criticism is like sometimes. As me and Dave agree, like the plot kind of just stops so they can animate a song, like as Ross put, Only Northern Song.
Only Northern Song.
Yeah, and Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds, even though they are really cool visually, like I said, there's no kind of like interplay with the plot or the characters like the Nowhere Man scene has, or it's all too much kind of thing. But you know what? It is a really great movie. It's a really unique movie, and I think you know, the only way I mean, even if you hate the Beatles and you hate their music,
Then you're an
I think
asshole.
you watch it once at least to appreciate the visuals and the
Go fuck
impact it
yourself.
had on the well, I know people who don't like the Beatles. My mate downstairs,
Burn them in the asses.
he's a pretentious prick. He hates the Beatles. He said
But-
if the Beatles
Burn
didn't do
them in a pile of hot acid and tie them to a
Let the man
burning
talk.
cross.
he said if the Beatles didn't do it first, it would have been the Kinks. What a stupid thing to say. You could say it about anything. If Einstein hadn't come up with relativity, this other person would. Well, that other person would, and Einstein didn't. Guess who'd get the credit? The person who came up with relativity.
Yeah,
I hope you can hear me downstairs. You just gotta come in with a chainsaw.
To be fair, I have met some people who don't like the Beatles, but as they put it, it's more down to overexposure growing up in Britain.
Like
because you cannot escape them, particularly if you do grow up in Liverpool, where you are force-fed Beatles. If you can't sing at least 3 Beatles albums verbatim by the time you're 10, you get beaten to death. I'm pretty sure that's a law in Liverpool.
Same with Stone Roses.
Um,
I think even so, like I think even if like something turns you off because it's overhyped, I think you owe it to yourself to look at it critically. Like if you look at the Beatles critically and what they did in the studio, it was so far ahead of everybody else, and it paved the way for production in the studio.
And unlike a lot of other rock music from the time, it's dated well, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the lasting appeal of the Beatles.
Like you guys all enjoy the songs from it. Like, you know, we all have our favourites. You know, Elegant Rigby, Sgt. Pepper's, Salted Merchant, Bulldog, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's like David said, it still holds up. I mean, obviously, if you hate the Beatles, you hate the Beatles. But you know,
I used to be skeptical about them, but they grew on me.
Yeah.
I'm still not a full-blown fan, but
really interesting history. You can kind of see how they went from kind of standard single sort of stuff, but they were still kind of different, and then to the more experimental phase, and then
their breakup.
Let It Be was just a bit shit, really.
I like Let It Be Naked as an album more than the original.
My roommate goes on about that. I really like. I still prefer the Phil Spector version of Don't Let Me Down. I like it slower.
Yeah, I'm a total Beatles historian. Like, I know more about them than any other band.
Sure.
I'll be the fact checker if anyone has any Beatles questions.
You certainly didn't know how many movies they made. Hey-oh!
Yeah, bitch! Might as well tear down that poster.
Confusing. Shut up.
Such a poser.
Oh man.
All right, so it's getting kind of late. So I think
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the Fantasia review, we should like hold that back next week, maybe next Saturday or in the
Oh,
weekday.
yeah, we can do it during the week or something.
I'll do a better job of like
Yeah.
communicating that. But what movie would you like to watch after this? Because I'm not sure if we're gonna stay just kind of like mostly like music and animation, or you want to do something else like Tangled. What are your thoughts?
I already suggested we do Interstellar 5555.
I think that's
Yeah.
a pretty cool idea. What does everyone else think?
I'm up for that. And then I'll find something absolutely god awful for us to close on.
No! Don't you fucking dare!
What movie? I missed it.
Just some random shit.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I would kind of suggest the Pink Floyd movie because it would kind of follow like the band doing animated stuff, but then The Wall doesn't have like more of the movie is live action.
I was gonna say if we're doing the split, really,
Yeah.
probably we'd have to say at least 50% animation.
And
Yeah.
the animation in The Wall is amazing. I think.
Oh, it is. It
If you
is
should, honestly, just go on
gorgeous.
YouTube, type in The Wall animation, and you'll be blown away.
The wall. The wall.
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Wall.
Wall with
It's a live
I'll
action
try
animated
to type
movie
for us
based
American
on
accent people.
the Pink Floyd album, 1980. Is it 1980? 1981?
I'm
Mm.
looking.
82?
Yeah,
Something
1980.
like that. 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not split like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like they don't interact with the animation.
Oh.
It's just like animated segments, which are the best part of the movie. Because in my opinion, the rest of the movie is pretentious shit. Even though I love Pink Floyd, it is pretentious shit. David, do you disagree?
No, that's pretty much Dave Gilmore in a nutshell. Great talent,
Roger
what a
Waters.
pretentious arsehole.
Roger
Wow.
Waters.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all
it's
of them.
Wow.
Roger Waters writes the most amazing songs, but he is.
Oh
a
my
bit of
god, this animation, what the hell?
Yeah, I'll let you play that anyway. So next week, we're gonna watch that Daft Punk movie. Stay tuned. Check out the movies. Like our group, Master Toons Assembled. Subscribe and like and share.
And
care.
Leave comments if you think Georgie's full of shit. Or if you think any of us are full of shit.
That's it.
I'm already leaving comments in my head.
If you don't like me, you could be passive aggressive. You know, send me.
Let Jack know if you want more Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us comments now, and then when we get big, you can say you started a flame war with us when no one knew who we were.
Exactly. Thank you very much to our new guest, Ross. Hopefully we'll see you more often in the future.
Yeah, I'll come back for the Daft Punk movie. I like Daft Punk.
Yeah. Awesome. So, we don't really have like a catchy outro or anything.
That's just
Hey, Bulldog.
There we go.
We're still on.
Close on that.
Right, goodbye for the Master Tunes. Do that again, Dylan. I'll stop broadcast.
Meh.